Vulnerability is the secret language of our hearts, and today we're diving into vulnerability triggers, anxious and avoidant attachment. In this exploration, we shall uncover how our earliest wounds and life's tender moments shape the way we open up or shut down in our relationships. Imagine a child reaching out with trembling hands for a warm embrace, only to be met with a dismissive shrug or a hurried pat that lacks true comfort. That first encounter with emotional need, so raw and unguarded, becomes etched into the fabric of our being. For some, these early experiences blossom into what we call anxious attachment, a relentless craving for closeness, a persistent fear of abandonment that haunts every silence and every pause in conversation. Every quiet moment can ignite a storm of self-doubt, a yearning for reassurance that sometimes feels as desperate as it is necessary. On the other side, there are those who learn to shield themselves from the potential sting of rejection. With an avoidant attachment style, the young mind is taught that intimacy is a risky venture, a venture that could shatter one's hard-won independence. Such individuals, though not devoid of a longing for connection, instinctively build emotional walls to keep the chaos at bay. It is as if, in their internal world, vulnerability is synonymous with danger, and the safer path is to remain detached. I recall a particularly vivid memory from my own life, a moment in which I too was caught between the desire for intimacy and the instinct to retreat. In the quiet aftermath of a long, solitary walk, I felt the swell of emotion that begged to be shared. Yet the ghost of past rejection loomed large, and instead of opening up, I clamped down on those feelings as if locking away a dangerous secret. It was then I realized that this internal struggle was not a sign of weakness, but rather the echo of early experiences where emotional needs were either dismissed or met with uncertainty. For those with an anxious attachment, vulnerability can feel like exposing one's soul to an unrelenting storm. Every unreturned call, every missed glance, a potential confirmation of a deeply seated fear that love might abandon them when needed most. And yet, there lies a profound beauty in the very act of vulnerability itself. It is the doorway to true intimacy, the bridge that connects two hearts willing to risk being seen in their raw, unfiltered truth. Conversely, those with an avoidant attachment style view vulnerability through a lens of self-preservation. Their childhood experiences may have taught them that expressions of sadness, anger, or fear are met not with comfort but with dismissal. As a result, they learn to value self-sufficiency, to pride themselves on their independence, and to guard their inner world as if it were a treasure locked behind impenetrable gates. I once met a man, Edward, who epitomized this cautious detachment. His exterior was the picture of calm composure, his words measured and deliberate, yet when he spoke of his past, there was a palpable weight, a silence that spoke volumes of a heart long accustomed to solitude. The interplay between these two attachment styles is a dance of extremes. Anxious individuals may find themselves clinging desperately, seeking validation and reassurance, while avoidants, in their quest for autonomy, may withdraw further into themselves the moment emotional depth beckons. This push and pull creates a dynamic fraught with tension, where each partner's coping mechanisms can trigger a cascade of reactions in the other. It is a veritable tug of war where the stakes are nothing less than the very essence of love and connection. So, how might we begin to transform these vulnerability triggers from sources of conflict into opportunities for healing? First, we must embrace the idea that vulnerability is not a flaw. It is a strength. It takes immense courage to lower our defenses and allow another person to see us as we truly are. Think of vulnerability as the delicate key that unlocks the door to profound intimacy. Without it, our relationships remain superficial, marked by fleeting moments rather than deep, enduring bonds. A critical step in this journey is self-awareness. It is essential to understand where our attachment style comes from. Reflect on your earliest memories, those moments when you sought comfort from a caregiver only to be met with indifference or dismissal. By identifying these formative experiences, you can begin to see how they shape your reactions today. For instance, if you notice that you become overwhelmed by silence or the slightest hint of distance, recognize that this may be rooted in an anxious attachment pattern formed long ago. Conversely, if you find yourself habitually retreating when conversations grow too personal, it might be an avoidant mechanism designed to protect you from perceived emotional threats. Once you have this awareness, the next step is to cultivate a space of emotional safety within your relationships. This involves clear, compassionate communication, rather than letting the fear of rejection or overwhelm drive you to either cling too tightly or withdraw too far. Try to create a balance, a gentle push and pull where both partners feel secure. When you share your feelings, aim for honesty tempered with kindness. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try expressing, "I feel a little lost when I don't hear your thoughts." This invites dialogue rather than defensiveness and lays the groundwork for a deeper connection. It is also crucial to acknowledge that our responses to vulnerability are not fixed. They can evolve. As you navigate your relationships, be open to the possibility that you can learn new ways of being. This might involve seeking professional guidance, such as therapy or counseling, where you can explore your emotional patterns in a supportive environment. I remember working with a client who had been trapped in a cycle of anxious neediness for years. Through gentle, consistent exploration of his past and the emotions that lingered in his present, he learned to express his vulnerabilities in a way that invited support rather than rejection. His journey was not easy, but it was transformative, an evolution from a state of constant fear to one of balanced openness. Moreover, the path toward healthier attachment often involves embracing the paradox of closeness and distance. In a truly secure relationship, both partners can oscillate between moments of intimacy and independence without feeling threatened. The key is to trust that even when you step back to care for yourself, you are not abandoning your partner. Rather, you are nurturing a space that allows both of you to grow. In this light, a brief pause in communication is not a sign of neglect, but an opportunity for each person to recharge and return with renewed vigor for connection. Imagine a relationship as a finely tuned orchestra, where each instrument plays its part in harmony. The anxious individual might be the violin, its notes rich and emotive, while the avoidant partner could be the steady percussion, providing rhythm and structure. When both elements come together in balance, the result is a symphony of connection, a blend of vulnerability and strength, of openness and independence. As we draw towards the conclusion of our exploration, consider this: the journey to transforming vulnerability triggers is not a sprint, but a marathon. It requires patience, persistence, and above all, self-compassion. Embracing your attachment style, whether anxious, avoidant, or somewhere in between, is the first step toward forging relationships that are both deep and resilient. Each small act of openness, every moment when you choose to share rather than hide, adds up over time to create a tapestry of trust and intimacy. Thank you for joining me as we navigated the intricate terrain of vulnerability triggers in anxious and avoidant attachment. May you find within these reflections the courage to open your heart, the wisdom to understand your emotional landscape, and the gentle strength to build connections that honor both your need for closeness and your desire for freedom. Remember, every step you take on this path is a testament to your resilience and your commitment to living a life rich in genuine, heartfelt connection.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.